video, we're looking at the gradient intercept form, which relates to linear equations, linear relations. And the gradient intercept form comes in the form of y equals mx plus c, where y represents the y coordinate, m represents the gradient of the line, which is the slope or steepness of the line. X is the x coordinate, and C is the y intercept. So the point at which our line intercepts the y-axis. So the types of questions we're going to do here are being able to identify the gradient and then the y-intercept coordinates according to the equation. We're going to look at how we can rearrange these equations to be able to use them in gradient intercept form. And we'll also look at how we can use them to graph quickly. So the first question says, state the gradient and y-intercept coordinates for the graphs of the following. Okay, so we're looking for our m and our c, and our c will be in the coordinate form of 0, c, or obviously x, y, because with our y-intercept, x is always 0, and y is the point at which it hits the y-axis. So for the first one, for A, our gradient is 2, and our y-intercept is 1, so the coordinate will be 0, 1. For B, our gradient is -3, and there's no C, is y equals -3x, so there's nothing. So what number represents nothing? 0, right? We can write y equals -3x plus 0. So our coordinate will be 0, 0. For that particular one, our line will pass directly through the origin, something like that. Question 2 says, rearrange these linear equations into the form shown in the brackets. So we've got two different forms there. We've got y equals mx plus c, which you should be very familiar with, and this one's ax plus by equals d. So we need to understand what this is. Ax plus by equals d. Now these marry up. We know what x is. X is the x coordinate. We know what y is. Y is the y coordinate. We're not unfamiliar with those. D is new. D is actually our y-intercept, but it'll change values when we rearrange it into our gradient intercept form. So it represents our y-intercept, but it's not quite there yet. Similarly, A represents our gradient, but again, it's not quite there yet. It will eventually become our gradient. B generally is going to get cancelled out. Because we always want to make y the subject when we are making our gradient intercept form, i.e. y equals mx plus c, B is going to get cancelled out, which then changes the values of D and A and D, which became M and C. So in the first question, 4x plus 2y equals 10. We need to make y the subject. So I'm going to move my 4x to the right-hand side. That's a positive 4x, so it's going to become a negative 4x because we change the sign when we change the side. That's a positive 10, stays a positive 10. Now we need to get rid of the 2. We need to get y by itself. So we divide by 2 to both sides. Y equals -2, because 2 goes into -4 twice. X plus 5. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So there's our new equation. In question B, we start with our gradient intercept form, and we need to make D the subject. So up here it says D is the subject, which is our C. So -7 needs to become our subject. So again, the first thing we're going to move is our 4x. 4x is going to move to the left-hand side. It's currently positive. It's going to become negative when it moves to the left-hand side. -4x plus y equals -7. Now we can leave that. B is then 1. Up the top there, B is 1. We have AX plus B, imaginary 1, Y minus D. That is our answer. Question 3 says, find the value of the gradient and the y-intercept for the following, and then sketch their graphs. All right, well, the gradient is 2, and we can write that as 2 over 1, because if you remember, any whole number can be written as a fraction over 1. This then represents our rise over run. And that's important. We'll come back to that later when we're ready to start graphing. Our coordinate for our y-intercept is 0, -1. So for our graph, we are going to have -1, -2, -3. That's our y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, -2, -3, -4. Our next point is going to move 2 up, 1 across. 2 on the rise, 1 on the run. 1, 2, 1 across. 1, 2, 1 across. And there you have it. There's your graph there.